This month, I've wound over 7,000 bobbins, which equal to about 35 kilometers of pearl cotton embroidery thread. This is also an equivalent to about 4,500 skeins of regular stranded thread. So buckle up and watch how I did it. I've had to think real hard and figure out a sustainable way of winding thousands of bobbins in a short amount of time, but also with the least amount of strain on my back. I have a bad back, so this was the way. And let me just introduce you to all of the tools I've invested for this process. By far the coolest piece of machinery I've had to get is this DeWalt impact thingy. I got 2 batteries for it, and it's a good job I did because I would kill one of them in about 67 hours. There are a few things about it that I don't particularly appreciate. For example, every time you engage the trigger, these insanely bright lights kick in. It is so distracting. But then again, I'm not actually using this for the intended purpose, so not a real complaint. It's probably a very useful feature for screwing screws, you know? Anyway, I also got some custom bobbin attachments for it. These were 3D printed specifically for these particular bobbins. Even got my name on it. I mean, how cool is that? A massive shout out goes to the Nifty Needler shop on Etsy. They didn't actually want a shout out, but hey, I figured it won't hurt too much, right? You'll be asking for the links anyway. But the guy who runs the shop is super generous. He sent me a bunch of extra parts in case something breaks, and boy was I happy, because have a look. I probably broke 7 or 8 bits already. The bobbins I'm using are kind of special. They aren't branded, but made in Taiwan. And the gaps where the thread attaches are so narrow, it'll even hold a single strand in place under tension, like it's the best. My next shout out goes to the Dreaming Robots for making this amazing yarn counter. I gotta say, the counter tool was the hardest thing to research, and this thing is incredibly accurate. I'm not even kidding, I did a bunch of tests and every single time it was just right on point. My next little bit of kit is the yarn guide. It's got a few cool features, but the main thing it does, it provides constant thread tension. That was a must for me. The person who designed this thing doesn't really deserve a shout out, even if I knew who it was, because this bloody screw sticks out and is the only point of pressure when attached to the table. I mean, it's freaking stupid. I mean, it did the job this time around, but I think I need a better one of these. The last thing on my list of tools is this yarn genie. It worked beautifully for my pearl cotton balls. A bit pricey for what it is, but like, I don't know what I would do without it, you know? How could I put a price on that? There are also a couple minor things I needed for this job. They're not very significant. It's just some skin protection tape, small scissors to snap the thread. And of course, I needed to know how many meters of each thread color I needed, so I made this guide for myself. Oh, and I had to stick stickers on each bobbin, which was a pain, but it needed to be done. Genie was the first thing on this production line, and then the thread guide. I had to use a bit of folded felt to minimize the damage to my table for this stupid screw on there. And then it's just the yarn counter. It also attaches to my desk quite nicely. That's it for the stationary tools, and now here's the actual process. Pearl cotton balls have a wide plastic core, so it just drops down on the genie real easily. And threading this guide is not the most fun thing to do in the world, but the whole setup just wouldn't work without it. And I didn't actually have to do it for every cotton ball, luckily. Unless of course I forgot to keep an eye on the thread levels and it ran out before I could stop it. But for about 440 something cotton balls that I'd used this time round, I probably had to rethread the guide maybe 50 times or so. So not good, not bad. And threading the yarn counter is dead easy. I just had to go around the disc a few times with the thread to make sure the thread actually grabbed onto the disc and moved it as it moved. Very important here because that's what's counting, the disc rotations. Then I just attached the end of my thread to the bobbin, put the bobbin into this attachment, and put the attachment into the impact. Then I had to check how many meters of thread I wanted on the bobbin and input that into the counter. There's an option for it to make a beep once it reaches that number, which was so helpful because I didn't really need to keep an eye on it constantly. And let's wind. The impact trigger is actually pressure sensitive, so I could start slow and then increase the speed when I felt comfortable. And what I love about the impact is that the stop is near instant, which meant that once I heard the beep from the counter, I immediately released the trigger here and it stopped winding pretty much instantly. And let's see this whole process again from a bit further away. Here's the tape I used for protection, by the way, because I needed to guide the thread with my hand here and I didn't want any burns, you see. So yeah, I mean, quite a process right here. Still takes forever to wind large amounts of bobbins, but it's the best I can do right now. Yeah.